My mother needed me. And they said, no, pay attention. And it was like I blinked, and then the tall blonde was standing on my right, and this object was sitting in front of me. They said, make this object, and they gave me some instructions with it. They said that it was time for the Great Gathering to begin, that the foundations of it need to be started. So I said, all right. I came out of the meditation. They said, when you return, you must write this down immediately. And I said, okay. So I came out of the meditation, I sketched it out, and I put it away. That was in January. In March, I took a trip. I was going to Nevada. I said, do I need to bring it with me? They said, no. Very clearly, no. I said, okie dokie. They said to me in around July, they said to me that they wanted me to get on the road and make this piece that they wanted me to make and start the foundation of laying the foundation for the Great Gathering. I said, okay. I was looking after my mother at the time, who was aged, and she was in the dying process. And I said to them, no way, not doing it, not leaving her. I said, you have to give me exactly what I ask for or forget it. So I laid out my demand list, and I said, my mother must be taken care of. She must go in a place where she is loved and she is taken care of to the highest good first. You must supply me with the money because I had no money. You must find someone to make this piece for me because I cannot do it on my own. And the fourth thing, I said, you must, and I want you to listen very carefully to this because this is going to teach you something about the creation that we have the ability to do. You must bring eagle feathers to my feet. I demand a physical proof that what you are asking me to do is true and correct, or I will not do this. I must have this come to me physically, or I will not believe that this is real. So, I demand eagle feathers to my feet, and I demand one white, pure white feather. A week later, this piece is carved. A week later, won't get into all the detail, a carver. I ended up at his house. No idea that he's a carver. Went to his house for some strange reason. Walked in the door. After an hour of conversation, he said, I don't know why you're here. I said, well, I certainly do. He said, can you tell me why? And I showed him the piece, and he began working on it immediately. 2 days later, a stranger PayPal'd $800 to me. Then they PayPal'd another $800 to me. I had $1,600 in my PayPal in a week. Someone called and said, we've got a bed for your mother. She has to come immediately. I called an ambulance and took her to the hospital, where she was absolutely loved and taken care of extraordinarily well. And the last thing is I walked out of my house to go and water my garden. And I'm going to stand up for this. And I had to go and water the garden. So I pulled the hose, and I pulled it because I had to water something in the far corner. And I pulled it, and I was like, jarring on the hose. And then I stood there, and I had my feet, and I was like, oh, and I was just looking at the garden. And then I looked, and right here, literally, right there, 7 eagle feathers. 7 eagle feathers. Can you imagine what went through my mind at that point again? But not only that. Not only that. There was one pure, absolutely pure white feather sitting in the middle of it. I told them, I said, I don't care how you bring these eagle feathers to me. You can bring someone to my door and knock on the door and say, come, here's your eagle feathers. You can leave them at my doorstep. I said, none of this, get in the car, drive five minutes, get out, walk into the bush. I said, I can't do that, because at that point I couldn't leave my mother for more than 20 minutes at a time. So I said, you must bring them to my feet. I said, have one of them fly over and drop them in my yard. I don't care. So the point is that these ETs are still with me, and they are very, very strong. But where did this go? And I'm getting up to walk around because I can't sit still anymore, so hopefully. Here's what happened. I took the piece. I went to Arizona. The message was, the gathering, the great gathering must begin. And I'm shaking, I'm vibrating all over as I'm saying this to you. And through this strange set of circumstances, which I don't have time to get into, I ended up talking to someone who said that these people from South America, the Mayans to be exact, were calling on this gathering because they themselves had been receiving messages that it was time for the great gathering to take place. And it was an absolute chance that I ended up having this meeting with these two individuals, and the events leading up to it was extraordinary. So the point is that as I'm staying in my own remote little world because I don't read books, I don't talk to people a lot about the messages that they're getting, I don't go to lectures, that type of thing, to try and keep myself as clear as possible. So when I do get a message, it's powerful. And they said to me that it was time for this gathering to take place. The ETs are making contact with people around the world and giving them these messages. They're saying it's time, that these possible cataclysms, these possible earthquakes, volcanoes, you name it, solar flares may come. But I really want to stress something to you. We have the ability as a human being to stop all of that. We have the ability to create with our minds what we want. So you can focus on your financial situation, you can focus on your home, you can focus on the fact that you're not sure where your job's going to come to, but please do me a favor and focus on what it is that you want in the world. It's not going to be about money, it's not going to be about power, it's going to be about the human being again. So you need to focus in on the heart and know that we're moving back into that time. And I'm so grateful that people like George Green are taking charge of things that I have no ability to be able to talk on. And that's the great thing also, is that each person that is coming forward right now to speak has a piece of this puzzle. So the great gathering is in the stages of beginning. Now, I'm going to say some things that'll probably tick off some people. And I apologize to them, because if they watch this film, they're not in this room, but if they watch this film, they won't be very pleased with me. The Mayans have begun to come forward. And I'm sure that many of you are hearing about this. Now, I have contacts in the indigenous world who are not the Mayans. Other people in the indigenous world, and I'm not just talking about one tribe, I'm talking about several of them. They do not agree with what it is that these Mayans are saying. They are not agreeing with it. They do not believe that saying that the end of the world is coming is the right approach, because it's not. The Mayans are the timekeepers. Well, great, they're the timekeepers. Do they have so much ego that they can't believe that the other tribes need to be involved in what it is that they're doing? This is not about the Mayans. It's not about the Hopis. It's not about the Lakota. It's not about anyone. What this is about all of them coming together, and coming together in unity to be able to have this gathering so that we can create this flow of change. So when you're listening to things that are coming out right now, today, right now, from the Mayans and from others who are talking about that, I want you to hear my words. Because if they